hope you still like bad wigs. Welcome back to Mean Reads, where I read a book that I've never read before out loud to you. I may react to what I'm reading as I'm reading it. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. We go on this journey together. Okay, here's a secret. I read/skimmed a little of this book before. Oops. Thereby negating the whole premise of the channel, but you're not gonna tell. You're not a snitch. It's okay. This book is Narcissus in Chains. I want to say it's number 8 ? In the Anita Blake series by Laurel K. Hamilton. I've heard / slightly saw that this is apparently where the series takes a turn for the worst. So I've never read another Anita Blake series before, and like I said, I've only just took a peek at a little of this many years ago, maybe about a decade ago at this point. I'm going to start it right now. Okay. So just a quick warning. I know from the decade ago skim that I'm pretty sure this book involves off-screen rape, and maybe off-screen or aftermath of torture. Anything else, I don't know what the book contains in terms of warnings or triggers, so this is a buyer beware experience. It's a choose not to warn experience. You have to kind of be okay with going in cold, and if you're not, this is not for you, and that's okay. All right, on with the show. Should I be looking straight at the camera? Professional. June had come in like its usual hot, sweaty self, but a freak cold front had moved in during the night, and the car radio had been full of the record low temperatures. This was okay so far. It's not bad writing. It was only in the low 60s, not that cold, but after weeks of 80 and 90 plus, it felt downright frigid. My best friend Ronnie Sims and I were sitting in my Jeep with the windows down, letting the unseasonably cool air drift in on us. Ronnie had turned 30 tonight. We were talking about how she felt about the big 3-0 and other girl talk. Considering that she's a private detective, considering that she's a private detective, and I raise the dead for a living. Okay? It was pretty ordinary talk. Sex, guys, turning 30, vampires, werewolves, usual. We could have gone inside the house, but there is something about the intimacy of a car after dark that makes you want to linger. Or maybe it was the sweet smell of spring-like air coming through the windows like the caress of a half-remembered lover. Okay, so he's a werewolf. No one's perfect, Ronnie said. Date him, sleep with him, marry him. My vote's for Richard. I know you don't like Jean-Claude. Don't like him. Her hands gripped the passenger side door handle, squeezing it until I could see the tension in her shoulders. I think she was counting to 10. If I killed as easily as you do, I'd have killed that son of a bitch 2 years ago, and your life would be a lot less complicated now. That last was an understatement, but I don't want him dead, Ronnie. He's a vampire, Anita. He is dead. She turned and looked at me in the dark. Her soft gray eyes and yellow hair had turned to silver and near white in the cold light of the stars. The shadows and bright light reflected light left her face in bold relief like some modern painting. The look on her face was almost frightening. There was a fearful determination there. If it had been me with that look on my face, I'd have warned me not to do anything stupid, like kill Jean-Claude. But Ronnie wasn't a shooter. He's a vampire? Okay. She'd killed twice, both times to save my life. I owed her. But she wasn't a person who could hunt someone down in cold blood and kill him. Not even a vampire. I knew this about her, so I didn't have to caution her. I used to think I knew what dead was or wasn't, Ronnie. I shook my head. The line isn't so clear-cut. He seduced you, she said. I looked away from her angry face and stared at the foil-wrapped swan in my lap. Deerdorf's and Hart, where we had dinner, got creative with their doggy bags, foil-wrapped animals. I couldn't argue with Ronnie, and I was getting tired of trying. Finally, I said, every lover seduces you, Ronnie. That's the way it works. My stupid? ? She slammed her hand so hard onto the dashboard it startled me and must have hurt her. Damn it, Anita, it's not the same. I was starting to get angry, and I didn't want to be angry. Not with Ronnie. I'd taken her out to dinner to make her feel better, not to fight. Louis Fane, her steady boyfriend, was out of town at a conference, and she was bummed about that, and about turning 30. So I tried to make her feel better, and she seemed determined to make me feel worse. Look, I haven't seen either Jean-Claude His name's Jean-Claude. Look, I haven't seen either Jean-Claude or Richard for 6 months. I'm not dating either of them, so we can skip the lecture on vampire ethics. Now that's an oxymoron, she said. What is? I asked. Vampire ethics, she said. I frowned at her. That's not fair, Ronnie. You are a vampire executioner, Anita. Pardon my adjustment there. You are the one who taught me that they aren't just people with fangs, they're monsters. I'd had enough. I opened the car door and slid to the edge of the seat. Ronnie grabbed my shoulder. Anita, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please don't be mad. I didn't turn around. I sat there with my feet hanging out the door, the cool air creeping into the closer warmth of the car. Then drop it, Ronnie. I mean, drop it. She leaned over and gave me a quick hug from behind. I'm sorry. It's none of my business who you sleep with. I leaned into the hug for a moment. That's right. It's not. Then I pulled away and got out of the car. My high heels... Whoa. Sorry, just thinking about the fact that I don't wear high heels. My high heels crunched on the gravel of my driveway. Ronnie had wanted us to dress up, so he had. It was her birthday. Yep. It wasn't until after dinner that I realized her diabolical scheme. She'd had me wear heels and a nice little black skirt outfit. The top was actually, gasp, a well-fitted halter top. Or would that be backless evening wear? However pricey it was still a very short skirt and a halter top. Ronnie had helped me pick the outfit out about a week ago. I should have known her innocent let's just both dress up was a ruse. There had been other dresses that covered more skin and had longer hemlines, then that camouflaged the belly band holster that cut across my lower waist. I'd actually taken the holster along with us on the shopping trip, just to be sure. Ronnie thought I was being paranoid, but I don't go anywhere after dark unarmed. Period. The skirt was just roomy enough and black enough to hide the fact that I wore the belly band and a Firestar 9mm. The top was heavy enough material, what there was of it, that you really couldn't see the handle of the gun under the cloth. All I had to do was lift the bottom of the top, and the gun was right there, ready to be drawn. It was the most user-friendly, dressy outfit I'd ever owned. It made me wish they made it in a different color so I could have two of them. Ronnie's plan had been to... This writing is okay. It's zipping along. It's paranormal romance. Sidebar, I'm pretty sure that this was kind of the... I don't want to say the trope maker, but all the paranormal romance that you saw in the 2000s, this was like a post-Buffy, pre-romantasy. I'm pretty sure she started that book trend with the Anita Lake series, but I could be completely wrong. Anyway, Ronnie's plan had been to go to a club on her birthday, a dance club. Eek! I never went to clubs. I did not dance, but I went in with her. Yes, she got me out on the floor, mainly because her dancing alone was attracting too much unwanted male attention. At least with both of us dancing together, the would-be Casanova stayed at a distance. Though saying I danced was inaccurate, I stood there and sort of swayed. Ronnie danced. She danced like it was her last night on Earth, and she had to put every muscle to good use. It was spectacular and a little frightening. Sapphic! There was something almost desperate to it, as if Ronnie felt the cold hand of time creeping up faster and faster. Or maybe that was just me projecting my own insecurities. I turned 26 earlier in the year, and frankly, at the rate I was going, I probably wouldn't have to worry about hitting 30. Death cures all ills. Well, most of them. There had been one man who had attached himself to me instead of Ronnie. I didn't understand why. She was a tall, leggy blonde, dancing like she was having sex with the music. But he offered me drinks. I don't drink. He tried to slow dance. I refused. I finally had to be rude. Ronnie told me to dance with him. Ew. At least he was human. I told her that birthday guilt only went so far, and she'd used hers up. The last thing on God's green earth that I needed was another man in my life. I didn't have a clue what to do with the two I already had. The fact that they were respectively a master vampire and an Ulfric werewolf king was only part of the problem. That fact alone should have you know just how deep a hole I was digging. Or would that be, have already dug? Yeah, already dug. It was about halfway to China and still throwing dirt up in the air. I'd been celibate for 6 months. So as far as I knew, had they. Everyone was waiting for me to make up my mind. Waiting for me to choose or decide. Something. Anything. I'd been a rock for half a year because I'd stayed away from them. I hadn't seen them, in the flesh anyway. I returned no phone calls. I had run for the hills at the first sign of cologne. Why such drastic measures? Frankly, because almost every time I saw them, I fell off the chastity wagon. Chastity wagon. That could be a band? Question mark? They both had my libido, but I was trying to decide who had my heart. I still didn't know. The only thing I had decided was that it was time to stop hiding. I had to see them and figure out what we were all going to do. Were these books pre-True Blood? I actually don't know that. I know they're pre-True Blood, the show. Anyway, I decided 2 weeks ago that I needed to see them. It was the day that I refilled my birth control pill prescription and started taking it again. The very last thing I needed was a surprise pregnancy. Wait, can you get pregnant with a Okay. That the first thing I thought of when I thought of Richard and John Claude to go back on birth control pills tells you something about the effect they had on me. You needed to be on the pill for at least a month to be safe, or as safe as you ever got. 4 more weeks, 5 to be sure. Then I'd call. Maybe. I heard Ronnie's heels running on the gravel. Anita, wait, don't be angry. Oh, so all that was a flashback? Okay. The thing was, I wasn't angry with her. I was angry with me. Angry that after all these months, I still couldn't decide between the two men. I stopped walking and waited for her, huddled in my little black skirt outfit, the little foil swan in my hands. The night had turned cool enough to make me wish I'd worn a jacket. When Ronnie caught up with me, I started walking again. I'm not mad, Ronnie. Just tired. Tired of you, my family, Dolph, Zebrowski, everyone being so damn judgmental. Frickin' Dolph and Zebrowski, am I right? My heels hit the sidewalk with sharp clacks. I like that. John Claude had once told me he could tell if I was angry just by the sounds of my heels on the floor. Watch your step. You're wearing higher heels than I am. Ronnie was 5'8", which meant with heels she was nearly 6 feet. I was wearing 2-inch heels, which put me at 5'5". I got a much better workout when Ronnie and I jogged together than she does. The phone was ringing as I juggled the key in the foil-wrapped leftovers. Ronnie took the leftovers and I shoved the door open with my shoulder. I was ready to cross the floor in my high heels before I remembered that I was on vacation, which meant whatever emergency was calling at 2:05 in the morning was not my problem. Not for another 2 weeks at least. But old habits die hard, and I was at the phone before I remembered. I actually let the machine pick up while I stood there, heart pounding. I was planning on ignoring it, but I still stood ready to grab the receiver just in case. Loud booming music and a man's voice. I didn't recognize the music, but I recognized the voice. Anita, it's Gregory. Nathaniel's in trouble. Gregory was one of the were-leopards I'd inherited when I killed their alpha, their leader. As a human, I wasn't really up to... I love paranormal. I watch Star Trek. I'm a nerd. Don't get me wrong. I know we all love the wares. I'm sorry. Anyway, as a human, I wasn't really up to the job. But until I found out a replacement, even I was better than nothing. Were animals about a dominant? To protect them were anyone's meat. And if someone moved in and slaughtered them, it would sort of be my fault. So I acted as their protector, but the job was more complicated than I'd ever dreamed. Nathaniel was the problem. That's rude. All the others were rebuilding their lives since their old leader had been killed, but not Nathaniel. He'd had a hard life. Abused, raped, pimped out, and topped. Topped meant he'd been someone's slave, as in sex and pain. He was one of the few submissives. He was one of the few true submissives I'd ever met, though. Admittedly, my pool of acquaintance was limited. True submissives? Few? What? Also, wow, she had to explain what topping was. 2002 was a wild time. I cursed softly and picked up the phone. I'm here, Gregory. What's happened now? Even me, my voice sounded tired and half angry. If I had anyone else to call, Anita, I'd call them, but you're it. He sounded tired and angry, too. Great. Where's Elizabeth? She was supposed to be riding herd on Nathaniel tonight. What? I'd finally agree that Nathaniel could start going out. Wait, isn't this a grown man? This is a grown man / were-leopard, right? Anyway. I'd finally agreed that Nathaniel could start going out to the dominance and submission clubs if he was accompanied by Elizabeth and at least one other were-leopard. Tonight it had been Gregory riding shotgun, but without Elizabeth, Gregory wasn't dominant enough to keep Nathaniel safe. A normal submissive would have been safe in one of the clubs with someone there to simply say, no thanks, we'll pass. But Nathaniel was one of those rare subs who were almost incapable of saying no, and there had been hints made that his idea of pain and sex could be very extreme, which meant that he might say yes to things that were very, very bad for him. Were animals can take a lot of injury and not be permanently damaged, but there is a limit. A healthy bottom will say stop when he's had too much or feels something bad happening. But Nathaniel wasn't that healthy, so he had keepers of him to make sure no one really bad got a hold of him. But it was more than that. A good dominant trusts his sub to say when before the damage is too great. I got so many questions and comments and concerns about... The internet was around now. I know the Kinksters where write in frequently asked questions and whatnot. Laurel could have researched this. I mean, in a way, it sounds like she did, but maybe not to the level. The Dom trusts the sub to know his own body and have enough self-preservation to call out before he is in past what his body can take. Or you talk about. Let's see. Okay. Nathaniel did not come with that safety feature. What? Which meant a dominant with the best of intentions could end up hurting him badly before realizing Nathaniel wouldn't help himself. I actually had accompanied Nathaniel a few times. As his Demir Raw, it was sort of my job to interview prospective keepers. I'd gone prepared for the clubs to be one of the lower circles of hell and had been pleasantly shocked. I'd had more trouble with sexual propositions in a normal bar on a Saturday night. In the clubs, everyone was very careful not to impose on you or to be seen as pushy. It was a small community, and if you got a reputation for being obnoxious, you could find yourself blacklisted with no one to play with. I'd found that people in the scene were polite, and once you made it clear you were not there to play, no one bothered you except tourists. Tourists were posers. People not really into the scene liked to dress up and frequent the clubs. They didn't know the rules and hadn't bothered to ask. They probably thought a woman who would come to this place like this would do anything. I'd persuaded them differently. But I'd had to stop going with Nathaniel. The other wereleopards said I gave off so much dominant vibe that no dominant would ever approach Nathaniel while I was with him. Though we'd had offers for menage a trois of every description, I felt like I needed a button that said, no, I don't want to have a bondage three with you. Thanks for asking, though. Elizabeth had supposedly been dominant, but not too much to take Nathaniel out and try to pick him up a date. Elizabeth left, Gregory said. Without Nathaniel, I made it a question. Yes. Well, that just fries my bacon, I said. What? He asked. I'm angry with Elizabeth. It gets better, he said. How much better can it be, Gregory? You all assured me that these clubs were safe. A little bondage, a little light slap and tickle. You all convinced me that I couldn't keep Nathaniel away from it indefinitely. You said that they had to monitor the area so no one could possibly get hurt. That's what you and Zane and Sherian told me. Hell, I've seen it myself. There are safety monitors everywhere. It's safer than some dates I've had. So what could have possibly gone wrong? We couldn't have anticipated this, he said. Just get to the end of the story, Gregory. The foreplay is getting tedious. I agree, as the reader. Sorry, Laurel. You know, I call this channel Mean Reads, but feel bad for being mean. There is silence for longer than there should have been, just the overtly loud music. Gregory, are you still there? Gregory is indisposed, a man's voice said. Who is this? I am Marco, but if that helps you. I am Marco, if that helps you, though I doubt it does. His voice was cultured, American, but upper crusty. New in town, are you? I asked. Something like that, he said. Welcome to town. Make sure you go up in the arch while you're here. It's a nice view. What has your recent arrival in St. Louis got to do with me and mine? Me and mine. Oh my God, I hate that phrase. I used to love it, now I hate it. We didn't realize it was your pet we had at first. He wasn't the one we were hunting for, but now that we have him, we're keeping him. It's taken. He's been tooken. You can't keep him, I said. Come down and take him away from us, if you can. That strangely smooth voice made the threat all the more effective. There was no anger, nothing personal. It sounded like business, and I had no clue what it was about. Put Gregory back on, I said. I don't think so. He's enjoying some personal time with my friends right now. How do I know he's still alive? My voice was as unemotional as his. I wasn't feeling anything yet. It was too sudden, too unexpected, like coming in on the middle of a movie. No one's dead yet, the man said. How do I know that? He was quiet for a second then. What sort of people are you used to dealing with that you would ask if we'd killed him first thing? It's been a rough year. Now put Gregory on the phone, because I know he's alive, and he tells me that the others are. Because until I know he's alive, and he tells me the others are, this negotiation is stalled. How do you know we are negotiating? Marco asked. Call it a hunch. Ma, you are direct. Now this is what I remember from my skim. Endless back and forths where she's just not being edited, where it's like, get to it. Like the back and forth is fine by itself on a sentence level, but it just keeps going. And it's like, you gotta cut some darlings here. There was the music-filled silence. It's going to get worse. It's going to get way worse from what I remember. There is the music-filled silence and more music, but no voices. Gregory, are you there? Is anyone there? Shit, I thought. I'm afraid that your kitty cat won't squall for us. A point of pride, I think. Put the receiver to his ear and let me talk to him. As you wish. More of the loud music. I spoke as if I was sure that Gregory is listening. Gregory, I need to know you're alive. I need to know that Nathaniel and everyone else is alive. Talk to me, Gregory. His voice came squeezed tight as if he were gritting his teeth. Yes. Yes, what? They're all alive? Yes. What are they doing to you? He screamed into the phone, and the sound raised the hairs on my neck and danced down my arms in goosebumps. The sound stopped abruptly. Gregory? Gregory! I was yelling against the techno beat of the music, but no one was answering. Marco came back on the line. They are all alive, if not quite well. The one they call Nathaniel is a lovely young man. All that long auburn hair and the most extraordinary violet eyes. So pretty. It would be a shame to spoil all that beauty. Of course, this one is lovely too. Blonde, blue-eyed. Someone told me they both work as strippers. I love you, Laurel K. Hamilton. I love you. Someone told me that they both work as strippers. Is that true? I wasn't numb anymore. I was scared and angry, and I still had not a clue to why this was happening. My voice came out almost even, almost calm. Hope you guys are liking the birds in the background, by the way. Yeah, it's true. You're new in town, Marco, so you don't know me. But trust me, you don't want to do this. Perhaps not, but my alpha does. Shapeshifter politics. I hated shapeshifter politics. Why? The Werelords are no threat to anyone. Ours is not to reason why. Ours is but to do and die. A literate kidnapper, refreshing. What do you want, Marco? My alpha wants you to come down and rescue your cats, if you can. What club are you at? Narcissus in chains. And he hung up. Title drop! And that is the end of chapter 1. Hope you enjoyed.